The emergency alarm screamed through the halls of Kepler Station. Ambassador Veltar ran as fast as her crystal legs could carry her. Her blue light flickered with fear as she rushed to the council room. 3 more star systems had gone dark. In the past week, the Catharan hive was moving faster than anyone had thought possible. The council room was full of scared faces from across the galaxy. The Etherians floated in their glass tanks, their gas bodies swirling with worry. The Nexus Collective members sat stiff in their chairs, their robot parts clicking nervously. The fish-like depths dwellers splashed in their water suits, making sounds of distress. Veltar looked at the big screen showing the galaxy map. Red dots marked the dead systems where the Catharans had already been. The red was spreading like a disease toward the center of the galaxy, where all the important worlds were. "How long do we have?" asked High Coordinator Zeph. His metal voice sounded tired and scared. 6 months, replied General Korth of the Military Council. Maybe less if they keep moving this fast. The room fell quiet. Everyone knew what this meant. The Catharan hive had never been stopped. They ate entire worlds and turned the people into more soldiers for their army. Their living ships could heal themselves and were too strong for normal weapons. "We have tried everything," said Dr. Yill, the chief science officer. "Our best weapons barely scratch their ships. Our battle plans don't work against their swarm attacks. They learn from every fight and get stronger." Veltar stood up slowly. She had hoped it would not come to this, but there was no choice left. "There is one option we have not tried." The other council members looked at her. Some of them started to glow brighter with fear because they could guess what she was thinking. "The humans," she said. The reaction was immediate. Several members stood up and started talking at once. The Etherians' gas bodies turned dark colors. The Nexus Collective members' lights flashed red warnings. Even the calm depths dwellers started making angry clicking sounds. "Absolutely not," said Coordinator Zeph, his metal hand hitting the table. "The risk assessment files clearly state that humans are too dangerous for contact. Their world is a Class 12 death world," added Dr. Yill. "Nothing that deadly should be able to support intelligent life. But somehow they not only live there, they thrive there." Veltar had read the files too. Earth was a nightmare world where almost everything was trying to kill everything else. The weather could freeze or cook you. The ground shook and split open. Fire fell from the sky. The water was full of things with too many teeth, and the humans lived there happily. "Remember what happened during first contact," said General Korth. "They thought our peace envoy was an attack and responded with nuclear weapons." "Nuclear weapons? Who uses those for first meetings?" "The psychological profiles are even worse," continued Dr. Yill. "They keep predators as pets. They jump out of flying vehicles for fun. Their entertainment includes watching people hurt each other. Their stories are about fighting impossible battles and somehow winning." Veltar knew all of this. She had been there during first contact 20 years ago. The humans had been so shocked to meet aliens that their first response was to assume invasion and prepare for war. It had taken days to convince them that the Galactic Cooperative came in peace. But what scared everyone most was not the humans' violence. It was how good they were at it. In just a few hours, they had figured out how to track the Cooperative's ships and had started building weapons to fight them. They had shown tactical thinking that impressed even the best military minds in the galaxy. That was why the quarantine protocol had been put in place. Keep the humans in their corner of space and hope they never decided to come out. "I know the risks," Veltar said, "but look at the map. The Catharans will reach the core worlds in 6 months. Our children will be dead or worse. Every world we have built will be gone." She touched a button and new images appeared on the screen. Pictures from the outer rim worlds that had fallen to the Catharans. Cities turned into living hives. People changed into something that was no longer quite people. Entire planets stripped of all life and turned into breeding grounds for more soldiers. The humans fight like predators, she continued. Maybe that is what we need against the Catharans. Maybe we need someone who understands violence to fight something that only knows violence. But what if we cannot control them? Asked Coordinator Zeph. What if they decide we are enemies too? Then we die, Veltar said simply. But at least we die fighting instead of being eaten alive. The debate went on for hours. The vote was close. Fear of the humans was strong, but fear of the Catharans was stronger. In the end, desperation won. The message was short and simple. It was broadcast to Earth on all frequencies. The galaxy burns. We need your help. The humans' reply came back impossibly fast. Faster than should have been possible across the vast distance of space. Just 4 words that made everyone in the council room both hopeful and terrified. On our way. 3 days later, the sensors picked up something approaching Kepler Station. It was moving fast and did not look like any ship in the Cooperative's database. It was long and dark and covered in armor that looked like it was built for war. The ship sent a message as it got closer. This is Admiral Sarah Chun of the Terran Defense Force aboard the UES Indomitable. Requesting permission to dock. We are here to help. Veltar looked around the council room. Everyone was quiet. The humans were coming. There was no going back now. She just hoped they had made the right choice. Permission granted, she replied. Welcome to Kepler Station. As the human ship docked, Veltar could not shake the feeling that everything was about to change. The galaxy had called for help, and something was coming that might be more dangerous than the enemy they were fighting. But it was too late to worry about that now. The humans were here. The docking bay doors opened with a loud hiss. Ambassador Veltar stood with the other council members, waiting to meet the humans for the first time in 20 years. They had no idea what to expect. What came out of the ship made everyone step back in surprise. Admiral Sarah Chun walked into the docking bay wearing what looked like black armor. But the alien sensors told them it was not just for show. The armor was fully working battle gear with weapons and shields built right in. She was tall for a human, with short dark hair and eyes that seemed to see everything at once. Behind her came 3 other humans. Dr. Marcus Webb was shorter with wild hair and excited eyes that made the aliens nervous. Colonel Jiang Wei had metal parts replacing some of his body parts, just like the Nexus Collective, but somehow different. Commander Amara Okafor had wires coming out of her head that connected to a small computer on her wrist. Thank you for coming, Veltar said, her crystal body glowing with polite welcome colors. Admiral Chun nodded. We came as fast as we could. Show us what we are fighting. They moved to the main briefing room where a huge display showed the galaxy map. The red areas where the Catharans had been were bigger than they had been just days before. The Catharan hive, General Korth began, is unlike any enemy we have faced. They use living ships that can heal themselves. They move in massive swarms that overwhelm our defenses. Their soldiers are created from the people they capture. Dr. Webb leaned forward, looking excited rather than scared. Fascinating. A true hive mind organism. How do they coordinate over such vast distances? We do not know, admitted Dr. Yill. Their communication methods are beyond our understanding. Everything is beyond your understanding, Colonel Jiang said quietly. His metal parts clicked as he moved. That is why you are losing. The aliens looked uncomfortable. Coordinator Zeph's lights flashed red. We have the best military minds in the galaxy working on this problem. Admiral Chun studied the display for a long moment. Then she turned to face the council. You are fighting this like a normal war. But this is not a normal war. What do you mean? Asked Veltar. You are fighting a hive mind, Chun said. We know hive minds. Earth is full of them. Ants, bees, termites. We have been dealing with swarm intelligence since before we could walk upright. She touched the display, and the image changed to show Earth. The aliens gasped. The planet looked like a war zone. Massive storms covered half the surface. The land was broken and scarred. The oceans looked angry and wild. "This is where we learned to fight," Chun continued. "Everything on Earth wants to kill everything else. The weather, the animals, even the plants. We did not just survive. We won." Dr. Webb was practically bouncing with excitement. "You see, when fighting a hive mind, you do not attack the swarm. That is what they expect. You attack the queen. Cut off the head and the body dies." "But we do not know where their command structure is," protested General Korth. "Then we find it," said Commander Okafor. Her voice was calm, but there was something in her eyes that made the aliens nervous. "We capture their ships. We study their biology. We learn how they think." Colonel Zhang pulled out a small device and placed it on the table. Images appeared in the air above it. They showed human soldiers fighting strange creatures in dark tunnels. "These are recordings from our wars against hive mind species on Earth," he explained. "Ants that could strip flesh from bone in minutes. Underground creatures that hunted in perfect coordination. We learned that swarm intelligence has weaknesses." The images showed humans using fire and poison and explosions in ways that seemed both clever and horrible. They showed soldiers working together with a coordination that rivaled the hive minds they fought. "You fight with honor," Admiral Chun observed, looking at the alien military records. "You engage in fair battles with rules and limits. That is why you are losing. What would you suggest?" asked Veltar. Though she was not sure she wanted to hear the answer, Chun's smile was not reassuring. "We fight to win. No rules, no limits, no mercy." She gestured to Dr. Webb, who stepped forward eagerly. "I will need complete biological data on the Catharans. How they reproduce, how they communicate, how their nervous systems work, everything. And I will need access to your manufacturing facilities," added Colonel Zhang. "Your weapons are too gentle. We need to build something with more bite." Commander Okafor was studying the tactical displays. "Your ship formations are all wrong. You fly like you are trying not to get hurt. In a real fight, getting hurt is part of winning." The aliens exchanged worried looks. These humans talked about war like it was something they enjoyed. "What exactly are you planning?" asked Coordinator Zeph. "Phase 1, Admiral Chun said, counting on her fingers. "We study the enemy, learn their weaknesses, capture their technology. Phase 2, we adapt. We build better weapons and better tactics. We hit them where it hurts. Phase 3. Her smile got wider and more frightening. "We kill them all." The briefing room fell silent. The humans stood there looking calm and confident while the aliens tried to process what they had just heard. "All of them?" whispered Dr. Yill. "Every last one," confirmed Dr. Webb cheerfully. "Complete species extinction. It is the only way to be sure they never come back." Before anyone could respond, alarms started blaring throughout the station. New reports were coming in from the outer rim. 3 more systems had gone dark. The Catharan advance was accelerating. Admiral Chun looked at the flashing red alerts, and her expression became serious. "How long until they reach the next major population center?" 2 weeks, said General Korth, his voice shaking. Chun nodded and turned to her team. "Webb, I want full biological analysis in 72 hours. Zhang, start weapon development immediately. Okafor, begin tactical planning for hit and run operations." She looked back at the Alien Council. "You asked for our help. Now you get to see how humans fight a real war." As the humans left the briefing room to begin their work, Veltar realized that they had just invited something terrifying into their galaxy. The humans did not just want to fight the Catharans. They wanted to destroy them completely. She hoped they had made the right choice. But looking at Admiral Chun's confident smile, she was not entirely sure anymore. 2 weeks later, the first joint battle began. The Catharan swarm had reached the Vega system, home to 12 billion Etherian colonists. The Galactic Cooperative Fleet moved to intercept them. But this time they were not alone. The U.S. Indomitable hung back from the main battle group like a dark predator waiting to strike. On the bridge, Admiral Chun watched the tactical display with calm eyes, while her alien allies prepared for what they thought would be a normal space battle. Catharan bioships detected, reported the Cooperative's fleet commander. 300 vessels approaching in standard swarm formation. The alien ships moved forward in neat battle lines, their energy weapons charging up for the traditional long-range engagement. This was how space battles had always been fought in the galaxy, honor duels between fleets at safe distances. Admiral Chun shook her head. Amara, show them how humans really fight. Commander Okafor's fingers danced over her control panel. Her neural implants connected directly to the ship's weapons system, making her and the Indomitable work as one mind. Firing kinetic penetrators, she announced. The aliens watched their sensors in confusion as the human ship launched what looked like simple metal rods. No energy signatures, no explosive warheads, just chunks of metal moving very, very fast. What are those supposed to do? Asked Fleet Commander Thex over the communication channel. Physics, replied Colonel Zhang from the weapons station. The metal rods hit the Catharan bioships at nearly the speed of light. The living armor that had turned away countless energy blasts might as well have been paper. The kinetic force punched through the ships like bullets through fruit, leaving massive holes that even their healing ability could not fix quickly enough. The Catharan front line disappeared in the first volley. Impossible, whispered Commander Thex. How did simple projectiles do so much damage? Dr. Webb's voice came over the communication channel, sounding excited and educational. You see, the Catharan bio-armor evolved to deflect energy weapons, but it never faced kinetic weapons moving at relativistic speeds. Simple momentum transfer, force equals mass times acceleration. While the Catharan swarm was still reeling from the unexpected attack, the Indomitable did something that made every alien captain's blood run cold. It moved toward the enemy ships instead of away from them. They are closing to boarding range, said Commander Thex in disbelief. That is suicide. No, Admiral Chung corrected. That is how humans fight. The human ship dove into the middle of the Catharan formation like a shark attacking a school of fish. Its point defense systems, weapons designed for close combat that no sane species would ever need in space, lit up the darkness with streams of fire. Then the real horror began. Human boarding pods shot out from the Indomitable, small armored capsules that punched through Catharan bioship hulls like bullets through skin. Each pod carried a squad of human Marines in powered armor that made them look like mechanical demons. The aliens watched their screens in stunned silence as the human soldiers fought through the organic corridors of the bioships. The Catharans had never faced boarding actions before. Their ship defenses were all external. Inside, they were helpless against humans who fought like they enjoyed it. How are they surviving? Asked Fleet Commander Thex. The radiation levels inside those ships should kill any organic being. Humans are remarkably radiation resistant, Dr. Webb explained cheerfully while coordinating the assault. Deathworld evolution, you know. Plus their armor has very good shielding. But the real shock came when the humans deployed what they called psychological warfare. Colonel Zhang had somehow hacked into the Catharan biocommunication network and was flooding it with human cultural data. The effect was immediate and terrifying. The Catharan hive mind, which had never experienced individual fear before, suddenly found itself overwhelmed with images of Earth's predators, recordings of human war cries, and something the humans called heavy metal music. Individual Catharans began acting on their own for the first time in their species' history. They turned on each other in confusion. Ship formations broke apart as different groups received conflicting orders. Some bioships actually began fleeing the battle. Fear, Colonel Jang explained to the shocked alien commanders. The hive mind does not understand individual terror. We are teaching it to be afraid. The battle that should have been a desperate last stand turned into a complete rout. The Catharan swarm, which had never been defeated before, scattered in all directions. Their bioships limped away from the system while others simply shut down completely, their crews too confused to function. When the shooting stopped, the humans had completely destroyed 3 Catharan hive clusters and disabled dozens more. Human casualties were remarkably light, 47 wounded Marines and 12 dead. The Catharans had lost over 200 ships and thousands of soldiers. But, more importantly, they had lost something they had never lost before, their confidence. How? Was all Fleet Commander Thex could manage to say. Admiral Chun's answer was simple and terrifying. We have been fighting wars since before we discovered fire. This is what we do. The aliens began to understand that they had not just found powerful allies. They had unleashed something that thought about violence in ways they could barely comprehend. Dr. Webb was already analyzing captured Catharan technology, his eyes bright with scientific excitement. Fascinating bioengineering. I can think of several ways to turn their own biology against them. Colonel Jang was reviewing battle recordings, making notes about Catharan weaknesses. Their neural networks are surprisingly vulnerable to specific frequencies. We can exploit that. Commander Okafor was planning the next engagement, her mind already thinking 3 battles ahead. They will adapt their tactics, but we will adapt faster. As reports of the victory spread through the galaxy, the reactions were mixed. The Outer Rim colonies cheered. Someone had finally stopped the Catharan advance. But in the core worlds, military leaders looked at the battle recordings with growing unease. The humans fought like they enjoyed violence. They used tactics that no civilized species would consider. They turned the enemy's own biology against them without a moment's hesitation. What have we done? Admiral Veltar asked herself as she watched the humans celebrate their victory with something they called a barbecue in the Indomitable's cargo bay. The humans had asked for complete tactical data on Catharan biology and breeding patterns. They had requested access to the cooperative's manufacturing facilities to build better weapons. They spoke casually about species extinction like it was just another military objective. The Catharan threat was real and terrible. But as Veltar watched Admiral Chun laughing with her crew while planning their next assault, she wondered if they had traded one monster for another. The humans were winning the war. But the galaxy was beginning to realize that victory might come at a price they had not expected to pay. 3 months into the war, the humans had pushed the Catharans back across 12 star systems. Every battle was a victory, but each victory made the aliens more afraid of their new allies. Ambassador Veltar stood in the medical bay of Kepler Station, watching Dr. Webb work on his latest project. The human scientist hummed happily while he mixed chemicals that would have killed any other species just by breathing them. "What exactly are you making?" she asked, trying to keep the fear out of her voice. Webb looked up with his usual excited smile. Bioweapon specifically designed for Catharan physiology. It attacks their neural connections to the hive mind. Basically, it makes them think for themselves. And that kills them? Oh no, Webb said cheerfully. It drives them insane. Individual thought is apparently very traumatic for a species that has never experienced it. Much more effective than simple poison. Veltar's crystal body dimmed with horror. The humans were not just killing their enemies. They were torturing them on a genetic level. In the engineering section, Colonel Jang was showing alien technicians his latest weapons. His cybernetic implants allowed him to interface directly with Catharan biotechnology, turning their own ships against them. The beautiful thing about biological systems, he explained to the terrified engineers, is that they trust their own signals. We just need to convince a bioship that its crew are parasites that need to be removed. The demonstration showed a captured K-Theran vessel literally eating its own crew while Jang controlled it remotely. The alien engineers backed away in disgust and fear. Down in the pilot training center, Commander Okafor was teaching alien pilots maneuvers that should have been impossible. Her neural implants let her think faster than normal organic brains, allowing her to use gravity wells and radiation fields as weapons. "You fly like you are afraid to die," she told a group of Etherian pilots. "But fear of death makes you weak. Humans accept that we might die in every battle. That acceptance makes us free to do whatever it takes to win." She showed them recordings of human pilots ramming their fighters into K-Theran command ships, ejecting at the last second with smiles on their faces. The alien pilots watched in horrified fascination, but it was Admiral Chun who worried the aliens. Her reports were always calm and professional, but they described acts of war that no civilized species had ever imagined. "Phase 2 is proceeding ahead of schedule," she reported to the Galactic Council. "K-Theran resistance is collapsing faster than projected. We should reach their home system within 6 weeks. "What happens then?" asked Coordinator Zeph, though he was not sure he wanted to know. Chun's smile had not changed since she arrived, but now it seemed less human and more like something wearing a human face. "Phase 3, complete species extinction." The council chamber fell silent. In the months since the humans had arrived, they had spoken casually about genocide like it was a normal military objective. But hearing it stated so clearly still shocked. "The aliens. Surely there must be another way," pleaded Dr. Yill. "Perhaps we could negotiate with them. Find a peaceful solution." Dr. Webb's laugh came through the communication system. "You cannot negotiate with a hive mind that sees you as food. The K-Therans do not want peace. They want to consume everything that is not K-Theran. The only way to stop them is to make sure there are no more K-Therans." "But complete extinction," said Veltar. "That is genocide on a galactic scale." "Yes." Admiral Chun agreed. "It is exactly what they plan to do to you." The humans showed no guilt about their plans. They spoke about ending an entire species the same way they talked about any other job that needed doing. It was this casual acceptance of ultimate violence that frightened the aliens most. Reports kept coming in from the front lines. Human Marines, fighting through bioship corridors while on fire, laughing as they killed everything in their path. Human engineers turning captured K-Theran technology into weapons that should not have been possible. Human pilots flying maneuvers that killed most other species just from the acceleration forces. The humans formed emotional bonds with their alien teammates, but those bonds only made them more dangerous. When a squad of Etherian soldiers was killed in a K-Theran ambush, the human Marines who had been working with them responded by sterilizing the entire asteroid field where the attack had happened. "They were our friends," Colonel Jang explained when questioned about the extreme response. "Humans protect their friends." The aliens began to understand that human friendship came with a terrible price. The humans would die for their allies, but they would also kill entire species for them. As the war progressed, the K-Therans began to change their tactics. They started avoiding direct confrontation with human forces. They tried to adapt their bioships to resist kinetic weapons. They even attempted to develop individual thinking to counter human psychological warfare, but the humans adapted faster. For every K-Theran counter-move, the humans had 3 new responses. They seemed to think about war the same way they thought about everything else, with complete focus and cheerful disregard for supposed limitations. How do they do it? Fleet Commander Thex asked after watching humans win another impossible battle. How do they always stay one step ahead? Admiral Chun's answer was simple and terrifying. Because we have been fighting ourselves for thousands of years. Every war we have ever fought has been against an enemy that thinks like us, that adapts. Like us, that refuses to give up like us. The Catharans are actually quite predictable by human standards. The revelation that humanity considered the Catharan hive to be an easy enemy compared to other humans was perhaps the most frightening thing the aliens had learned yet. As the human fleet prepared for the final assault on the Catharan home system, the Galactic Council held an emergency meeting. The question was no longer whether the humans could win the war. The question was what would happen to the galaxy after they did. "They are going to commit genocide," said Coordinator Zeph. "Complete elimination of an entire species." "And they see nothing wrong with it," added Dr. Yill. "They think it is just another military objective." Veltar looked at the tactical reports showing human forces moving toward the Catharan core worlds. The humans had become exactly what the galaxy needed to stop the hive mind threat. But they had also become something that might be more dangerous than the original enemy. "What have we unleashed?" she asked herself, watching Admiral Chun's final briefing about the coming battle. The humans were about to save the galaxy. But they were going to do it by showing everyone exactly what true predators were capable of when they decided something needed to die. The final battle took place in the Catharan home system, around a dying red star that had served as their species' nursery for millions of years. The combined fleet of the Galactic Cooperative followed the human battle group into the system, expecting the largest space battle in galactic history. What they witnessed instead was something that would be remembered forever as the day humanity showed the galaxy what true warfare looked like. Admiral Chun stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the tactical display with calm eyes. Around the red giant star, thousands of Catharan bioships swarmed like angry insects protecting their nest. Every breeding world in the system was covered with hive structures that stretched from pole to pole. "Catharan defensive fleet detected," reported Commander Okafor. "Over 10,000 vessels. This is their entire remaining force." The alien fleet commanders expected Chun to order an attack on the swarm. Instead, she turned to Dr. Webb, who was working at a science station with his usual excited expression. "Is the star ready?" she asked. Webb looked up with a smile that would haunt alien nightmares for generations. "The fusion destabilization devices are in position. We can trigger stellar collapse whenever you give the order." Fleet Commander Thex's voice crackled over the communication channel. "What are you talking about? What devices?" Admiral Chun's explanation was calm and matter-of-fact. "We are not attacking their fleet. We are attacking their star." The aliens watched their sensors in horror as the truth became clear. The humans had not come to fight a space battle. They had come to commit murder on a cosmic scale. "You cannot destroy a star," protested Coordinator Zeph. "That is impossible." Colonel Zhang's voice came through the speakers, sounding almost bored. "Actually, it is quite simple. We just convinced the star that it is older than it really is. Stars die when they run out of fuel. We made this one think it already had." The devices Webb had placed around the red giant were based on captured Catharan biotechnology, enhanced with human engineering that pushed the boundaries of physics. They were designed to disrupt the nuclear fusion process that kept the star alive. "Beginning stellar collapse sequence," Webb announced cheerfully. The red giant began to die. First, it was just a flicker in the star's light. Then the flickering became pulsing. The star's surface began to ripple and twist as its fusion core became unstable. The Catha fleet, which had been preparing to attack the cooperative forces, suddenly found themselves facing a much bigger problem. Their home star was turning into a supernova. "This is insane," whispered Fleet Commander Thex. "You are destroying an entire solar system." "Yes," Admiral Chun agreed. "That is the point." The Catharan response was immediate panic. Their bioships, which had been bred for space combat, were not designed to survive stellar radiation on this scale. The hive mind that had coordinated their species for millions of years found itself overwhelmed by signals of pain and death from every corner of the system, but the humans were not finished. As the star collapsed, they executed the most audacious rescue operation in galactic history. Not of themselves, but of their alien allies. Commander Okafor's voice came over the fleet communication channel. All cooperative vessels, prepare for emergency evacuation. We are getting you out of here. The human ships, built for impossible maneuvers and equipped with gravity manipulation technology, began shepherding the alien fleet through the expanding wave of radiation. They used the dying star's own gravity as a slingshot, launching the cooperative vessels out of the system at speeds that should have torn them apart. "How are we surviving this?" asked Commander Thex as his ship was pushed through space by forces. He could not understand. "Human engineering," replied Commander Okafor, her neural implants working overtime to calculate the complex maneuvers. "We designed our ships for the worst possible conditions. This is just another Tuesday for us." As the red giant finally collapsed into a neutron star, the wave of radiation sterilized every Catharan breeding world in the system. Billions of years of evolution ended in minutes. The hive mind that had threatened the galaxy fell silent forever. Admiral Chun's final report was delivered from the bridge of the Indomitable as they watched the last Catharan bioships burn in. The stellar fire. Catharan species extinction confirmed. Threat to galactic civilization eliminated. Terran Defense Force mission complete. The silence that followed lasted for several minutes. Then Coordinator Zeph's voice came through the communication channel, shaking with something between awe and terror. "You killed a star. You murdered an entire species by killing their son." "We solved the problem," Admiral Chun corrected. "The Catharans wanted to eat the galaxy. Now they cannot." The aftermath was complicated. The Catharan threat was gone, completely. And forever. But the galaxy now contained a species that had demonstrated the ability and willingness to destroy stars for military purposes. The humans, for their part, seemed genuinely confused by their allies' mixed reactions to the victory. "I do not understand the problem," Dr. Webb said during the post-battle briefing. "You asked us to stop the Catharans. We stopped them. Permanently. What more could you want?" "But the methods," protested Dr. Yill. "The complete destruction of an entire species. Would you have preferred that we let them live so they could?" "Try again later," asked Colonel Jang. "Humans learned long ago that some enemies cannot be reasoned with. Sometimes the only way to have peace is to make sure your enemy can never fight again." Admiral Chun's final presentation to the Galactic Council was both reassuring and terrifying. "The Catharan War is over. Your worlds are safe. Your children will not be eaten by hive mind monsters. We have given you exactly what you asked for." The Council voted to grant humanity full membership in the Galactic Cooperative, along with a new classification that would echo through history: strategic partner. Handle with extreme caution. The humans immediately began submitting proposals for defensive improvements to cooperative worlds. Their suggestions included orbital defense platforms that could crack planets, early warning systems based on stellar manipulation, and something they called deterrent fleets that seemed designed to intimidate rather than defend. The aliens realized that their new partners did not see any difference between defense and overwhelming offensive capability. 6 months later, Ambassador Veltar found herself giving a tour of the new Catharan War Museum to a group of young aliens from across the galaxy. The centerpiece of the museum was a holographic display showing the final battle. "Why were the humans so effective against the hive mind?" asked a young Etherian student. Veltar looked at the display showing the red giant collapsing into death, taking an entire species with it. She thought about Admiral Chun's calm smile and Dr. Webb's cheerful enthusiasm for genocide. Because, she said carefully, humans have been practicing warfare on each other for thousands of years. By their standards, the Catharans were actually quite easy to defeat. The young aliens did not know whether to be inspired or terrified by this information. Neither did their parents. As the tour group left the museum, Veltar stood alone before the display of humanity's ultimate victory. The galaxy was safe now, protected by allies who could kill stars and commit genocide, without losing a night's sleep over it. She just hoped they never decided that the rest of the galaxy needed the same kind of protection the Catharans had received. After all, the humans had proven they were very good at solving problems permanently.